Alright, as we mentioned that strings are special functions and that special functions are found in string.h library. So these special functions on strings are written in the string.h library. So this is a predefined library and that for you to use the special functions in strings, you must include string.h. And prior to this topic, you've met functions, and that for you to define functions and use them, to use the functions, you must define it first and declare. And to declare that, you include it string.h. Now here we're just gonna introduce the common string functions. So if you're gonna search on string.h in C, it will have a lot of lists of functions and the description on what does it do. So here we're gonna introduce the string functions, which are, I'm gonna just introduce before string functions. So first we have string length. So string length counts the number of characters in a string. So let's just say the string is Sheila. So it will give us that the length of the string is 2, 4, 6. So the size is 6, or the length is 6. How long is the string? So it is 6. So isn't it in English, we count how many letters in that word? And that's what is string length is. Next would be, we will introduce string compare. So in the string compare, we need two strings or two words to compare if both are the same or not equal. Let's say is the string Sheila with capital S and string this one Sheila with small letter s, are they the same? So we've introduced that uppercase and lowercase s will have different values in the computer, though they are both the same as s, but to determine if it is uppercase or lowercase, so they will have different value, and these strings are not equal. So where can you see examples of string compare? So let's say you input password and that password is a string. Password is different with PIN, right? So PIN is numbers. However, password is combination of letters or characters. So for the application to know if that is your account or that is you, so what happens there is that it compares. Is it given the username and you give the password, does it match your input with the stored password? So if they're equal, then you can access your account. However, if not, so you have to repeat again, and yeah, that are one of example of string compare. And other applications, such as maybe in to detect plagiarism. So if one sentence is almost the same with another existing sentence, so there's plagiarism. Or let's just say you compare a homework with other classmates, so to check if you're cheating or doing plagiarism. So depending if the value here means that, yeah, if they're both equal, means it's the same thing. So that's one application of string compare. And next, the most common one is, what do we do usually with strings, is of course we copy it. We have string copy. So we copy strings, or what we call duplicate. This is commonly executed. And we have string concatenate. So concatenate string. So rather than duplicate, what we usually do if we have two strings, so you add them. You combine words. So combining words to make it a sentence, something like that. So that is concatenate. Just individual words, and you connect them and you form a sentence, or you form a compound words. Okay, so we're gonna introduce one by one this common string functions. So let us start with strlen. So the syntax would be keyword strlen, open parentheses, and the string you want to count. So this function returns length of the string, or the number of characters in a string. So for example, we have a character string of size 30, though we know that the maximum size is 30, and as we introduced that, we can input value in the string as long as it's less than or equal to the size. And that, let's just say the value of the string is computer, and you want to know how many characters is computer. So if you count manually, you will have 2, 4, 6, 8 characters. So the length of the string, which is the value is computer, is 8. So here you accept the string and you input the string, which is computer, and then what you can do is that you can do like this, int length, and restore the length, the 8 here, and just call length equals the string length, then the variable, which is string. So the value, return value for length should be 8. Okay, next would be, we have string compare. So the syntax is strcmp, open parentheses, the first string that you want to compare, and the second string. So this function compares two strings if it is equal or not. So if it is equal, then it will return 0. Why will it return 0? So let's say the value is ball pen. String 1 is ball pen, and string 2 is ball pen. And we know that the ASCII values, though in the computer they do the binary, but they will have the same. So I just say the value of this one is 116 and the value of this is 116. So if you subtract 116 with 116, since they are equal, then the output is 0. That is why if the string 1 and string 2 have the same values, then it will return 0. Otherwise, so it returns 1, which means, or maybe other value. So let's just say you have, for string 1, you have pen, and string 2 is ball pen. So obviously it's different, and pen value is, let's just say, 16, while string 2 is 116. So if you minus 116 minus 116 is negative 100. So which means they are not the same. So to implement string compare, an example implementation would be, okay, you have string 1 and string 2, and still you can store it. Say you have string 1, I'm just going to initialize it. I'm sorry, it should be here. We have the word computer, and string 2 we have computer, but it's all lowercase. So how do we know if string 1 and string 2 are equal? So we can create another variable which is equal. So here to store string compare return value. Here equal would be string compare string 1 and string 2. It can also be vice versa if you want to compare string 2 with string 1 first. And then if equal would be equals to 0, then that would be two strings are equal. Otherwise, else, of course, not equal. Okay. Third one would be still a string function, commonly used, which is what we have, the string copy. So the syntax is strcpy, open parenthesis, and the string you want to be copied to and the string you want to copy. So this is the string you want to copy to string 2, or duplicate the value of the string to the string, so copy to. So this is the source and this is your destination where you would like to copy it. Okay, so for example, we have string 1 is school and string 2 is engineering. So if you call the function string copy and you pass the value of string 1 and string 2, what it does is that the value of string 2 will be copied to string 1, and that, what do you think will be the value of string 1? So the new value of string 1 would now be, so previously it's school, but since you copy string 2 to string 1, the value of string 1 would now be equal to engineering. So what happens if you do the other way? Let's just say you string copy, but string 2, then we have string 1. So let's say original string 1 is school and string 2 is engineering. So if you copy string 1, so this is the source and this is the destination. So whatever the value of string 1 will be copied to string 2, and that string 2 will now become school. So the order is the source and the copy destination. So that's how you implement a string copy. And the last common one is we have the string function what we also usually do with strings, with words, is string concatenate. So the syntax would be strcat, open parenthesis, the string that you want it to be concatenate with, and the string that you want to concatenate. So this is still the source and this is your destination. So you concatenate string 2 to string 1, so add. So what is concatenate? So let's just say we have a string which is school and string 2 is off. If you concatenate string 1 and string 2, so what will happen is that after you call this will now become string 1 is school off, since you add off to school. So school plus off, that is concatenate, meaning you add. So previously just school, but right now since you concatenate it, then it will be school off. And let's concatenate more. So let's just say we have, after this, you have string 3, which is the word engineering. And then you concatenate string 1. So now the value of string 1 is this one. And add string 3. So string 1 will now become School of Engineering. Just imagine I put space. Assume that it has space. So here, concatenate, add words. So this is what you want to add to the original. So that's how strcat works. You concatenate strings. Right, so more on tips on implementation. So you can, while you call the functions, string functions, so if you want to call the string functions, you can first store it to another variable. But make sure that the variable has the same data type with the return type. So in the first example you've seen, so let's just say the one that returns integer. So which functions returns integer? So we have strlen. So it returns integers. So you can store the return value of strlen to another variable, which is, it should be that the length is also an integer. What else? So as well as the string compare, which returns integer, so you can store the compare value when you call string compare. So the data type should be integer, so length and compare should be integers. Also, if the return value is also a string, so the data type of the variable should be string as well. So let's say, for example, you use string copy, though automatically it stores in this first the destination, but if you want to create another variable, you can store it like that. But S3 and S1 will have the same value. And if you want to rename it or put it on another variable, it's still okay. Or if you want to string concatenate string 1 and string 2, but instead of, it will update in string 1, you can as well put it in another string variable. And there's another more. I didn't introduce it, but this one, string reverse. Say you want to reverse a string and put it in a variable string 2, but make sure that these variables are the same type. They should be the same so that you will not meet an error. Another one is, instead of storing it to a variable, since it will consume memory space, what you can do is direct output or usage in printf. So let's just say, instead of, because if you store it in another variable and you store the return value of the string function, this will create another space. So instead of doing that, what you can do is that if you have the print a function here and you want to see directly what would be the output, so still the same. Remember, make sure to match the data type with the format. So let's just say if you use string %s, the function, string function, should be returning string type. So for example, just string copy string 1 and string 2 to string 1. You can do this as well. So the output will be directly presented here. Or if it is an integer, so you should match. Make sure to match. Just %d, and you call the function, string function, strlen of a string. So you can do that as well. Okay, that's the end of the lecture of the string functions, and see separate video for coding demos.